Hey everyone, it's Shaul. This video is going to be a compilation of scripts and tools that I use while playing Torn. And if your first question is, well, what is Torn? Torn is an online browser-based, text-based MMORPG. It's crime themes, so you can do things like rob a bank, attack people, claim bounties, become a hitman, gamble in the casino, avoid jail, search the dump, do drugs, all sorts of stuff. It's pretty popular. Right now we have 13,925 people online, and every day, or about in the last 24 hours, we've had around 100,000 people log in and play. And because it is a browser and text-based game, it works on basically anything that has browser or internet connection and is very simple to run and very fun is really all I can say is my best recommendation. It's very fun. The community is very great. It's basically a giant crime chat room. And as you can see, all these things are happening. People are being mugged and attacked and left on the street. And it's a really interesting and fun game. Now, if you'd like to play Torn or have never tried it before, you can sign up using this link, which I will put in the description, or scan the QR code on the screen, and we will get some bonuses for playing together. But other than that, yeah, Torn is pretty cool, and I think you should check it out. However, this video is going to be for a little bit more advanced players. So if it is your first day or first couple of days in Torn City, don't worry. You can like and save this video so you can come back to it. And once you understand what scripts are, what they do, what you could use them for, and what specific types of scripts you would need, you can come back to this compilation and rewatch and install scripts at your leisure. The scripts I'm going to show off in this video are going to be basically things that I think just make the game so much better. Not that the base vanilla version is bad, but being able to use tools to compile and fetch data for you in the background is always better than seeking out that stuff yourself. But since this is a compilation, I don't know what number I put in the title of the video, but I'm going to assume it's probably pretty big. So I won't go too in depth on every detail on every script, but I will provide every download link and corresponding forum post where possible in the description of this video. And before we go through all the scripts, there's going to be two pieces of required knowledge and some honorable mentions. So the first piece of required knowledge is going to be creating an API key. Okay, now an API key is basically what any of these scripts will use to interface with Torn and fetch and receive the data like I was saying before. The way you're going to create an API key is you're going to go to your little profile up here. You're going to click settings and get to the settings page. And you're going to click API keys. Now, all of these API keys are fake. I'm going to delete them when we're done with this video, but these are private, effectively passwords. So don't be giving these out to anyone. Don't be giving them out to any person who asks for them, because depending on the access, they can be able to make changes to your account, steal your money. Basically, you won't have a good time if someone knows your API key password. Whenever a script or tool asks, you're going to click add new key there, and you're going to name it, I'm just going to name it script name for example, and then you're going to choose the level of access. Mostly every script that you run into will tell you what type of access it will request, it needs. And full access keys are explicitly like mobile apps or other like clients of Torn that you're going to use, because with full access, you can actually make changes to your account. So once you've named it and selected the access, you're going to click add. So a pop-up key is going to come up. You're going to copy this to your clipboard. Here it is again if you need it. And then you're going to paste it wherever necessary, whether it be in a script, in an app, or whatever. You're just going to copy it and paste it. I'm going to delete this right now because I don't need a full access key. Oh, and for your knowledge, you can only ever add 25 API keys. So there will be a point where you're going to have to share keys. That's okay. You probably won't use all your API keys, but that should be known. The second piece of required knowledge is going to be getting a user script manager. So There are two major managers that are used. It's TamperMonkey and GreaseMonkey. TamperMonkey is available on Firefox, Microsoft Edge, Google Chrome, Opera, and Mac as well. GreaseMonkey is sort of a fork and is only available on Firefox, but they all effectively work the same way. Once you install and open the extension, you'll get this menu where you can enable and disable TamperMonkey, go to your dashboard and see all your installed scripts, which we'll be going through all of these later. And you can create your own if necessary. Pretty much every script that I'm going to be showing is going to have a download link like this, where you just click install and you just click install, and that's it. And it's already installed. That's all you need to do. And that's all the required knowledge. So next we're going to go with our honorable mentions. And the first honorable mention is going to be the browser. So I use Firefox. More specifically, I use Zen Browser. Here is the website for Zen Browser. It is available for Mac, Windows, and Linux. I just really like this browser. Specifically why I use Firefox though is for this extension called Sideberry, which lets me get these vertical tabs on the side and different panels and stuff, which is not a Torn specific useful thing, but it is incredibly useful for Torn to have these different panels and have, you know, the tabs indent basically where you're coming from, so you can leave sort of little breadcrumbs of where you came from and collapse them and basically really customize and really optimize your browsing experience. The next honorable mention is going to go to two extensions. These are browser extensions. One's called Torn Tools, and the other one is called Retorn. Here's Torn Tools. Torn Tools is available on Firefox, Microsoft Edge, and the Chrome store as well. Retorn is effectively the same thing, has more or less the same features. It's also available on Firefox, Edge, and Chrome. I use Torn Tools, and I use Torn Tools for Firefox. And whenever we go to Torn, and let me go to my profile here, if you ever see these checkered sort of green bars, these are features added by Torn Tools. So I'm not going to be going through all the Torn Tools features now because, as you can see, there's a lot of pages, a lot of things you can change. This is just an honorable mention. We're just going to be going through Userscripts. The next honorable mention is going to be the Torn PDA app, which is available on iOS and Android. This is basically an app that turns all the features of Torn Tools into its own app. It's honestly just the best way to play Torn on mobile. There is a Torn, this one. There is a Torn like official app, and it looks pretty similar to Torn Tools, but it doesn't have the ability to add Userscripts, which is very useful. So while this is great, definitely download Torn PDA. You'll have a much better time. So for reference, here's Torn PDA. Here it is on my phone. And if you ever want to install a script, you're going to go to the left tab, click Settings. You're going to click Advanced Browser Settings, scroll down to Manage Scripts here, click the plus icon, and configure and paste the link if you have the link copied to your clipboard. But yeah, here's the Torn PDA app. This is how you install scripts on the Torn PDA app. I should mention that while all the scripts I'm going to be talking about today are Torn PDA compatible, not all of them are. So if you ever find a script that is not Torn PDA compatible, make sure you talk to the developer about it, because it is pretty easy to just add that functionality. It's just basically shrinking down any objects of the script to fit into the mobile browser. And with all that done, we can now get to the meat and potatoes of this episode and go through all the scripts that I find the most useful. Oh, and I almost forgot, I have to mention the Torn forums, the official forums here, and more specifically the tools and Userscripts forum, where you can click forums on the top, scroll down, tools and Userscripts, And these are where I collected all the scripts that we were going to be talking about today. This is where you'll find new scripts that you'll use in the future. It's a great resource. Obviously, it's built into the game. The entire forums is probably your best resource when it comes to learning about Torn. This is really like the other half of the game. Like once you start going through the forums and reading and participating, you realize that a lot of the game is in a discussion. So make sure you check out the forums for any information you need. And without further ado, we'll get on to the list of scripts. And while I'm in flight right now, we can go over this script called Kenny's In-Flight Entertainment. Here's the forum post and the Greasy Fork link. But basically what the script does is you go to your traveling page, and while you're in the plane, you can play little games. Like we have Snake here. We've got the Dino Jump, Pong. How do you play this? With your mouse? Okay, play with your mouse. Typing Sprint, a little typing game. This basically just so that when you're landing the plane in the last 2 minutes, you can stay on the page. You don't have to just stare and entertain yourself while you're traveling. I took a little bit of time to organize all my scripts here because we're going to be going through, I think it's 5 categories. They're going to be in no particular order, but the categories are going to be items, number 1. Then we're going to go through all of our crime scripts. After that, all types of scripts that add a notification. After that, we're going to go to do our activity HUDs. So anything that adds notifications to a specific activity like racing or flying. Then after activity HUDs, we're going to do quality of life / miscellaneous stuff. This is just going to be basically anything that didn't fit into the other categories. And finally, we are going to go through a couple of websites. I can't type today. A couple of websites that I feel like are very useful to go through. Make sure you check the timeline for the chapters so you can go through each specific category. And some of these scripts may contain features that are already included in extensions like Torn Tools or Retorn. I'm only including them because they will still be compatible and usable on mobile. The conflicting scripts should never break Torn Tools, but you may have some weird UI stuff or like double buttons or something like that. And let's start off with the items category. And we're going to start with a 40 item intel script. So here's the link to the forum post, the 40 script collection. It's part of the 40 script selection. We are going to be using the QOL item intel script. I already have it installed, but you just click install just like that. And there it is, it's installed. And what this script does is it adds these little colored dots to the item previews to tell you what they're used for. Orange, I believe, is crime. Red is for OCs, and yellows are enhancers. So you can see window breaker is an enhancer for a crime, and clicking on it shows you unlocking additional outcomes for certain targets in Bluggery. And that's, I think, Torn Tools that's adding that there. Next is going to be the script that shows bazaars in the item market. And whenever you'd like to buy something, for example, the brick, when you click on the purchase, it shows you all the player bazaars that are hosting the item, as well as their prices and quantity. It also sorts them. You can sort by price, and you can see the cost of all the items. Don't know why it faded out there, but you can see also the difference between the market price. Next is Drox Overseas Stock Reporter. Here's the forum thread for it. This script adds this little modal on the travel agency screen, or when you're abroad, it shows you what the best item to buy is, buy price, item market value, the profit, and all that stuff. You can configure it to only filter to specific abroad locations. You can filter it to do flowers, plushies, and drugs, or specific items. Next is the Flight Club helper script. There's no forum post for this one. This one is provided to you by the Flight Club if you're a part of the Flight Club. And what this script does is it allows you to just auto send items that go to the Flight Club in basically one click. So instead of having to remember who you need to send your plushies to or your grenades to, just click the Flight Club icon in the items list and it'll show you exactly who to send it to and just auto fill it in for you. The next one is item market auto price. This one is pretty simple. Just whenever you go to post an item in the market, whenever you click on the price thing, it'll just auto fill it in for you. I believe it does the current market price -1. So you're just undercutting the lowest seller, which, I mean, if you're selling on the market, you kind of want to sell it as fast as possible. So this works pretty well. Next is remarks item wiki links. Here is the forum page for that, along with the sister script, which is the item locking script. What this script does is wherever you see an item, whether it be your item page, the item market, or bazaars, it adds this little W in the corner that you can click on, and it'll immediately open the wiki page for that item. And the lock script lets you lock items in your inventory so you don't accidentally sell them or trade them away. The next script is Snickle Market, aka Open Market. This one shows quality and bonus percentages in the quick look for stuff like weapons and armor. Here's a look at one of the bonuses. Next is the item market helper, quote unquote. This is a mug calculator basically. So if you go and want to buy something like Xanax, you can click on this little eye. See, this person is selling 24 Xanax, and this little modal will show you what happens, like how much money they would have if you bought all this and how much you would mug them for if you buy mug them. Now, I'm not saying to buy mug people, but if you have enemies in the game, this is how you create some. And if you already have some, this is a great way to keep them as your enemies. And if you're strong and ballsy enough, a dubious way to make a lot of money. The next script is the Ranked War Gear Price Checker. This one is most useful in the auction house where you can view the details on an item and price check it against the price history, what it's sold as in the past, if there's any on the market, what their current price is. You can use all these filters, you can manually search, and you can basically use this tool to immediately know whether or not you're getting a good deal on your auction or selling your items. Next is the Torn Junk Seller. This script is kind of like the auto price filler, except you can auto fill the prices for your specific stuff. So like crime junk, basically. So stuff you get from crimes. You can also mark how many you want to keep. So in this case, I only want to keep 20 card skimmers. So it already knows the price automatically, but it knows that I don't want to sell anymore so that I don't go under 20 card skimmers. And you can edit the margins on this little modal here. And unique from the item fillers is the bazaar filler. This one works similarity in that it gives you a button in your bazaar to just autofill and set the prices. You can see the margins that you are filling the prices at. And it has this cool little animation when you click the button, which I think is neat. And last on the list, the Trading Companion script. Here's the post for it. We'll go to this website later, but the companion script is basically this trading script where it will automatically put the prices and color code values for items so you can know if you're getting a good deal or not when you make your trades. Now for the next category of scripts, we are going to go to the crimes section of the game. Currently, there's 13 crimes in the game with more to come in the future. So I'm not going to go through 13 unique scripts. I'm just going to go through some crimes, some of the crimes that I've already completed or I'm going through right now that the scripts have been useful for. But rest assured, there is a script for every specific crime, and some of the scripts on this list are going to encapsulate all crimes. For example, our first script is going to be the bootlegging auto genre script. So right now I'm completing my bootlegging crime to 100 crime skill level. This script basically highlights which genres are low and which genres you need to queue up. All you need to do is just press copy and it will queue up the correct genre. This next one is for crime profitability. Sorry, ability is hard for me to type. And this one just shows you how much money you make per nerve on specific crimes. Not all of them show up because they're, for example, card skimming. It's not really you get money per nerve. It kind of just depends how many skimmers you have. But you can click up here to edit the settings and turn on specific crimes, turn them off. You can even show a threshold so that you know that this crime makes you a specific amount of money per nerve spent. The next script is another generalized script called Lazy Crimes. Now, I don't personally love that it's called Lazy Crimes, but you can change it in the actual code itself. But basically what this does is whenever you go into a crime, you just click the I am lazy button and it will automatically do the best option for you. So in this case, searching the cemetery is what makes me the most money per nerve. And it even has these separate buttons for the appropriate merits. So for example, if I spam the sure thing merit button, it searches the beach because that's where you get the sure thing merit. And for example, if you're like me and you don't love that the best crime script is called Lazy Crime, you can go to specific crimes and find scripts like this. For example, this one is called Quick DBD. And it's basically the same as the other bootlegging scripts that I showed where you just click copy and it just automatically switches to the correct genre. This next one I feel like is this is like maybe like the first must have on the list. It's called OC weights under roles. And these are for those of you who are in a faction. It'll show you under each role the weight of it. So the game itself will show you this little number here, which shows you how successful you will be at the specific role. But this weight calculator at the bottom actually shows you how much that role in and of itself matters. So for example, this person has an 81% pass rate, but this role really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of it. It's only worth 6.2% of the completion of the role. Whereas this person is a little bit on the lower end with 72% pass rate, but the weight of the role is only 2.7%. So it really doesn't matter if this person fails, the crime will still go through. It's good to know when you spawn in a really difficult crime and everyone has really low stats for it, you can actually tell what is the most important and really assign the person who has the highest completion rate to the highest weight position in the organized crime. Again, this is another sort of specific to a crime script. In this case, pickpocketing. So this is the pickpocketing target filter. There are plenty of pickpocketing scripts out there, but I decided to include this one because you can filter the list itself. So people who you don't mark don't even show up on the list. And you can also add audio alerts for those people that you've marked. So if you sit on this page and you do pickpocketing a lot, you can leave this page open and it'll give you an audio alert whenever your preferred pickpocketing target appears. Again, another crime specific script that I really like the features of. This one is called Torn Crack. This one basically shows you all the possible passwords on the cracking page. So for example, if I brute force this, it didn't come up with any matches yet. So let's brute force again. Okay, so it doesn't know what this one is. But you can see on this bottom one, it shows you what it thinks the password could be. And with cracking, you have 3 attempts. So it kind of turns this into like a little Wordle game where you guess what the password is. If you fail, you have to like manually brute force it. But I think it's pretty cool. And I like the sort of like matrixy theme of it. And finally, for the crime section, this is a generalized crime script called display crime chain. And all this script does is it shows your crime chain in the top of the page, which is useful to know because this number basically gives you bonus. So the more consecutive crimes you are successful at, the more experience you gain. So right now I have a thing of 31, so it probably would not be in my best interest to try and start a new crime where I'm going to fail a lot at the start. And that's it for the crime section of the script list. The next section is going to be called notifications. So this collection is going to be more so little like notifiers and icons, stuff like that, stuff that notifies you about stuff that's happening in Torn that you may not be aware of. I'm going to start off, we're back with the 40 script collection with the Med Advisor. And what this script does is it adds this little heart to your icons up here, which opens up this modal, which will scan your health and tell you what items you should use in order to use the least amount of medical cooldown as possible and gain the most health back. So for example, I've drained my blood, and now when I click on the Med Advisor and scan, it tells me that the best way to get to full HP is by taking 2 opium. Now, if you don't want to do drugs, you can go to the settings and add some bonuses like blood bags if you have these education courses completed, or faction bonuses, or status flags. And now that I've added that I can do blood bags, even though opium is still the best to get my health back, blood bags are the next best option. So pay attention to what the best option is, because taking drugs as your way of getting your health back probably isn't the greatest idea, but hey, it's your account, so do whatever you want. Another script from the 40 collection is the prayer reminder script. Similarly to the medical script, this one adds like a little prayer icon that takes you immediately to the church. So if you haven't prayed that day, you can pray. There is a merit associated with praying, but I like to keep this script on just so if I ever have 5 energy left, I can know that I can just waste it using in my prayer. This next one isn't by 40, but is similar. It is the blood bag reminder script. This one actually I can't show you because I did just a blood bag, but it shows a little icon just like this, and it'll only show it if your medical cooldown is low enough, which mine is not because I just blood bagged, just drained my blood and filled it back up. There's also a settings page where you can choose how many bags you want to fill and where you want to get your blood bags from. This next one I can't really show you because my faction is not going to war soon, but it shows the war local time. Actually, here we go. I pulled up a random faction war, and you can see right under the bottom here, you see the exact time that the war will end. This is pretty useful if you're new and you're not on Torn time, because converting from Torn time to your local time is a pain sometimes, especially for something as important as a faction war. It's really important and useful to know the exact time for you when your war is going to end. These next two I also can't really showcase because they do not apply to me, but this first one is faction inactivity highlight and company inactivity highlight. Basically, when you go to your faction or company page, it'll show you any players who haven't been online for a certain amount of days. And yeah, here's my company, but again, no one's really inactive, so nobody's highlighted. It's probably more useful for really big factions or really big companies, and if you're a leader, but hey, I feel like giving that information at a glance is a lot better than going person by person and checking when their last action was. This script is a little bit newer, and so it doesn't have as many users, but it does the same function as the next script I will show you. This one is called RARF, Rank War FF Travel Timer, and it's accompanied by this sign-in website where basically you just put in an API key, and when you're at war, it'll track landing timers, hospital timers, give people FF Scout badges, and bounty tools. Here's another random faction war that's happening right now, and as you can see, it highlights people who are away with yellow. It shows their fair fight stat estimates. It also says if they're okay, and instead of just saying hospital, it says the actual time before they get out of the hospital. If they're abroad, it'll show the time with this yellow timer there. And if they're flying, it'll show you where they're flying to, where they are currently. And I believe it only shows the time if you are an active participant in the war. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure you can also see the time when people are going to land using this script. This one, like I said, is basically the same thing, but it's a little bit older, so has a little bit more users, but it's called Torn War Stuff Enhanced, and it basically does exactly what I just showed you with RARF. And that's it for the notifications category. My next category is probably my favorite category, and it's going to be the activity HUDs. These are all basically plugins and scripts for the various activities you can do in Torn that enhance them, and as with any script, fetches and gives you a little bit more information about what it is you're doing around Torn. First up, we've got the advanced bounty filter. And what this script does is when you go to the bounty page in the newspaper, it shows you whether or not they have revives on. So if you know someone who can revive, or you are a reviver yourself, you can know whether or not, damn, this guy has a $33 million bounty on him and he's level 17. Oh man, easy bounty. And I know we're pretty long into the video for me to be saying this, but with this script in particular, it took me a while to figure out. Make sure you check if the script isn't working for you, make sure that you check the actual script code, because a lot of times they will ask for an API key in the code itself. It'll typically be the very first line. It'll say paste your API key here and what type of API key it needs. Next is the Torn Company Manager. Here's the script page. I don't own a company currently, so I can't really show this one, but as you can see, it comes up with this modal. You can manage everything, and it's just basically a lot more in-depth information on your company, people's roles, stuff like that. A lot of stuff. It's a bit advanced, but hey, if you run a company, this will probably be very useful for you. This next one is called Colorful Poker. And if you play a lot of poker like I do sometimes, this will color code actions and the turn order. You can see already who's acted and whose turn it is. This next one is called Poker Bet Slider, which adds a slider to the poker thing. So for example, I don't want to call 1 million. I'm just gonna, I guess, call this big blind, queen 9. Here we go. I got the slider working. Let's see. Let's go 8 big blinds. Hey, he called me and I hit the 8. Let's go. I'm all in. Let's see what happens here. Oh, he folded. Next up is the poker HUD/coach, which is also really good if you don't play a lot of poker, because it will literally give you information on what to do. Worth a call, but don't put in much more without a strong flop. Well, I have an ace, so I'm going to raise. Let's see what happens here. He calls me, over cards are at 50%. You're genuinely in this, take it cheaply and see what comes. So we'll bet a little bit. We'll bet pot here. And see now, call my flop bet. Caller has a hand or a draw. Open it and straight draw the turn. 1 shot left. Don't call big bets here. You're out of position. Be careful blowing the pop. I'll just check and see what comes out on the river. And here we go. Opponent goes to showdown. 67%. They are not folding. Bet small or check down. Fold to heavy aggression. All right, let's bet pot then. Be mindful of your sizing. Let's see if he calls this. Called 9-10. He had the straight. Dang, he got me there. Another poker script is the poker card highlight. This one just basically highlights your cards if you ever hit something on the board. Can you tell I like poker? Here's our last poker script called Poker Odds Calculator. And basically it adds this odd calculator here at the bottom. It shows you what possible hands can come out, what your opponents possibly have. I'm going to fold this here, and then we'll get out of poker here. But we're going to go right back to the casino because we're going to download the Russian roulette all in one tool. This script basically just adds a little panel here with your stats, your lifetime profit, your session. You can edit the settings, put your API key in there and everything. So if you're someone who likes to gamble, there's definitely a lot of scripts to help you not lose so much. But if you're into a more sophisticated type of gambling, we've got the Smart Stock Vault script here, where going to the stock market screen, you are met with this modal, and you can pick stocks to lock in, and you can get all these stats about it. I am not a stock guy, but I'm sure this looks pretty cool and in-depth. And that script is actually a fork of this script, which is the Stock Manager and Advisor script. This one has a little bit less of a crazy looking menu, but it has pretty much all the same features. They're just hidden away here. I really like the vault option because with one click, it'll just vault whatever amount of money. This is the amount of money you want to keep, right? So let's say I had 400K on me or more, it would deposit the rest and leave me with 400K into my target stock of choice. This is the one I use personally. And your stock market wouldn't be complete if you can't input your dollar bill. So here we have the stock cash buy and sell script. As you can see, Torn Tools already has this option built in, but for those of you that don't use Torn Tools, you can see you can just input the amount of money that you want to buy withdrawal. So if I want $1 million, I just type in $1 million and it automatically calculates that I should sell 3,111 shares of this stock to get around $1 million. It won't be exact because of the stock prices, but it'll be as close as it possibly can. Moving over to the gym, we have gym torn gain. And what this script does is it basically shows you how much of a certain stat you would gain per train and how much you would gain if you used all your energy right now, given your current happy. This is another rare, I think, like must-have script. Next up, we got the Torn Racing Guide script. This one adds a lot of features and auto scanners. So if you're into racing, go ahead and check out this page, read up on that. But it basically adds this little modal here. It shows you what upgrades to your car are best. Here's a legend, some credits. Here we have the Torn Trade Reputation script. This one is more of a community ran thing. Whenever you go to someone's profile, you can vote on their trading prowess. You have a Torn Exchange. If you use that, you can put an API key there to track the progress. Mission Reward Info is our next script. This one just adds a little bit more detailed information on stuff in your mission reward shop. So like mods and ammo, what type of weapons they're compatible with, if they have any bonuses or exclusions, stuff like that. Up next, we got descriptive mission titles. This one is also on the missions page, but what it does is instead of you having these like, not vague, but these sort of like titled titles, sort of themed titles, family ties, pass the word, loud and clear, sellout slayer. Basically what it does is it just moves what you actually need to do into the title. So right here, I have to mug 2 stupid whore, the loser stalemate to Mr. Nobody, send Selena. So it just basically puts exactly what the mission is in the title itself. Up next, we got Buster, aka Torn's sexiest bust reminder. This script basically just adds this hardness column to the jail, shows you how difficult it is to bust people out. And there are some sorting parameters, but right now, as I'm making of this video, you have to do it all in the script itself. I'm sure in the future, this person will add a UI or some kind of panel to edit all of that stuff. And the last part of the activity HUD is going to be all of the holiday scripts. So if you go to the Torn calendar, you can see all these little colored sections are holidays. There's main ones like Trick or Treat or Christmas Town, Elimination. I'm just going to basically encompass all of those holidays into one sort of mention. For example, here's a Christmas Town helper script, which I can't show to you right now because it's not Christmas. Here's an egg finder script for when it's Easter time. These scripts will be a lot higher in the forum lists when it comes time to be that holiday, because everyone will want information on the holiday and the scripts get updated and all that stuff. And here we are, we're almost done. We're making it now to the quality of life / miscellaneous scripts. Damn, did I already put lice in there? These are mostly self-explanatory, so we can do these a little bit more rapid fire. First up, we got the auto gym switcher. This one basically works in the background and makes it so that if you train a stat in the suboptimal gym, it'll just automatically switch you to the correct gym, and you can disable it with this button here. Here we have better faction chat. This adds some cool little icons to the chat. For example, activity status indicators, icons for the leader, people who are in the hospital, their role. It also shows a member list with everyone who's online or offline, leaders, co-leaders, people are traveling. You can search through the messages, and you also get a ping if you get mentioned. Sticking with the chat theme, we have another chat script called Torn Chat Buttons. This one's focused a little bit more towards traders, but basically you can make custom buttons to click for your trade chat where you enter a message and it will auto paste in the message. Useful for traders who are constantly selling in the trade chat. and don't want to copy and paste from their notepad over and over again, you can just add a button to the chat and just click it and it'll auto send your pre-configured message. Next up, we got a really simple one called Torn Dark Wiki. Pretty self-explanatory, just turns the Torn Wiki into dark mode. So this next one is offline for some reason. I'm clicking on the GitHub page, takes you to a 404, but I will probably re-upload it, and its original creator is Father, and it is called Forum Favorites. It's also a very simple script. All it does is just add little stars to the forum category so you can favorite them and they automatically move to the top. Next up, we got the lottery chance script. This one is pretty simple. It just shows you the chance of winning the lottery when you buy tickets. This next one is called the Swiss Army Knife, and it does a couple of things. Here are some of the features that it has. You can find all these in the bottom of your settings page. It has a chat highlighter, hospital timer, shows your faction balance. I think that's pretty neat, having your faction balance right there. It also has stuff like a Russian roulette filter, lets you change the weapon tab, just a couple of things. Here we've got a chat image uploader using ImageBB. Basically all this does is it lets you upload images to your chat. You can just paste in your image, it will automatically upload and put a link to it. And similarly, we have a chat link embedder, which lets you embed links into the Torn chat. All you do is just paste your link in the chat and it should open up. Let's try that again, shall we? Okay, I guess that one doesn't work. Well, I couldn't get it to work, but here's the forum post with the creator Dingus. He has all the links to his scripts here, so hopefully eventually this gets updated to work with the chat. This next one is called More Legible Player Names, and it does what it says on the tin. It just gives everyone more legible player names. And lastly, in the quality of life, we have Torn Themes. And this one just lets you change the background of Torn to whatever image you like. And yep, that's it for all the user scripts. Now we're going to go to a couple of related websites that are pretty useful. Of course, the first website we have to mention is Discord. Discord, if you're not familiar with it already, is a community chat app. And if you join a faction or a company, you will eventually probably be asked to join the Discord. Here is the Discord for my faction, the Nine Hells family. And we have a chat room with all of our leaders and any announcements, stuff like that. Now that we've got the obvious out the way, we can get to a little bit more intensive website, torntravel.com. This website lets you plan your travel and lets you see how much profit you're going to make, what you should buy, where you should fly to, how many flights it's going to take. You can change all these options here that you have at a rehab trip. It's pretty in-depth and pretty useful for when you want to fly all day and want to just have a plan and not really have to think about what you need to do next when you land. Our next website is torn.gg. This is basically just a checklist of things you can do in Torn. And if you ever don't know what to do next, here's a list that you can check off. This one is called Torn UI, but the link is on the screen there. This website has a couple of tools, such as a gym gains calculator, a target finder, and payout calculator. And here we have the Zan Stack Planner. With this website, you can plan your schedule of taking your Xanax. And there's two sort of main modes here, one for ranked war and one for a happy jump. You fill out all these parameters here, and then you calculate the stack schedule, and it'll tell you exactly what time you need to take your Xanaxes so that you can have full energy before you go to war or full energy with no cooldown before you do your happy jump. Next, we got Yata, or yet another Torn app.yt. This is, again, just sort of a data aggregator. You can see all these types, different categories of data using your Torn API key. Next up, we have tornstats.com. It's pretty self-explanatory. You can track your stats on Torn. If you join a faction, then we'll probably ask you to join Torn Stats because you can share information with your faction using Torn Stats. I mentioned this all the way at the start of the video, but this is Torn W3B. made by Weaver. It's basically a supercharged trader and seller dashboard, basically a secondary market for items. You can have an announcement and a page, auto link to trade with people, basically enables you to become a trader professionally in Torn. Here we have the Torn Lab radar, which basically finds targets for you for chaining or for leveling, whatever purpose you need to fight people for, and they will all be within your battle stats and level. This is the SR Tools loadout revealer along with its companion script. Basically, what this script does is it shows what someone's wearing before you actually enter a fight with them using stats that other people have scraped. And the biggest one of all of them is FF Scouter. FF Scouter, along with its companion script, is sort of like the loadout script I just showed, but for battle stats. So this live feed of stats is basically everyone who's using the script is collecting the prediction stats on other players when they fight them. So whenever you pull up a list of players, for example, I just pulled up a list of people in the hospital, you see these little arrows. So these arrows basically tell you how strong they are against you. If they're very far to the left, that means they're really easy to beat. And if they're very far to the right, it means they're hard to beat. FF stands for fair fight, and whenever you enter someone's profile, you can see their fair fight score here and how old that last calculated fair fight score was scraped. And I guess the last honorable mention is going to go to Torn Scripts here. This is also a compilation of scripts. It's not as updated regularly as I would like personally, but it's another place you can go to look up any scripts that you might like. Now, this is in no way a completely comprehensive list of every useful script that you can use in Torn City. For example, I may have not mentioned a crime that you're into right now, and there's a script that automates that crime. Or there might be a specific use case that you need a script for. All I hope is that with this video, you found some scripts that you like that you can use in your daily turn life. And if not, hopefully you came up with an idea for a script that you could use and that you could even possibly create yourself and help out the entire Torn community. So that's all. I want to say thanks for watching. Of course, like and subscribe as always, and bye.